So we had the Game Awards Thursday night, and the next day I was looking around, and yeah, there's opinions flying all over the place as to what people thought of the show overall. Looking back on it, I think it's going to be one of the more forgettable Game Awards shows. Some of that has to do with 2021 being, I don't say like a down year for gaming, but certainly a bit slower, and a lot of people were looking at things like the Game of the Year category and being like, okay, there's no massive, 95 plus on Metacritic or something thrown in there that was obvious to win. But I think that actually made the Game of the Year category very compelling to try to figure out what was going to win. It Takes Two took it, and I thought that was a pretty good choice overall. But I wanted to look back at some of the big game announcements from the show. I picked some out. I'm not going over all the game announcements. I think I'm going to attempt that. I say attempt that because there were a lot on Monday for Newswave. So if you just want basically like a rapid fire, go through all the announcements really quick, make sure you check that out here. I just wanted to take a look at, I have 6 here, and I have some of the extra details that may have been kind of lost overall. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So let's start with actually a small shout out to Tunic. This was in the pre-show. I played the demo. I like what I've played so far. I like what I had been seeing up to that point, and I'm looking forward to playing it. That one's coming out March 16th. That's on PC and Xbox. It's an isometric Zelda-like experience. And yes, the idea of like Dark Souls came up because it is a little harder at times. I actually put it very similar to Death's Door. So if you like Death's Door, check out Tunic. Again, March 16th. Very happy to finally see a release date for that because it's been in development for a while now. Okay, so starting with some of the big announcements, we're going with Wonder Woman right away. This was one that I think surprised a lot of people, but it was a pleasant surprise for a couple of reasons. One, I think it'd be interesting to see what we could get out of a Wonder Woman game, but two, it's also the studio behind it. It's from WB, but it's from Monolith Productions. Now, they, of course, did Shadow of Mordor, but they were the ones that did the patent for that Nemesis system, and it looks like they're going to be using it here with Wonder Woman, which is a third-person action game. It's going to have like I guess an open world style, and we'll be using that Nemesis system that was, I think, pretty interesting before, and I was hoping it would be built on even outside of Monolith Productions, but as we've talked about before with the patents, when that happens, it kind of locks up the idea to that studio. So interesting direction to take it, though, with a Wonder Woman game. No gameplay was shown here, just a brief teaser and then the studio behind it. So it's probably going to be a little while before we see anything else about this game because they had no release date, no platforms, nothing. At this point, I would expect it to be like a PS5, Xbox Series, PC, next gen, basically, even though it's current gen now, game. So I guess we'll have to see if we find out more about that maybe next year at E3. We also had the reveal of Alan Wake 2. This was heavily rumored going into the show to make an appearance. It did. It was, again, a pretty quick trailer. I think the idea of just being able to show this, though, with the fans behind the series. Yes, it's technically just Alan Wake, the first one, or Alan Wake Remastered even, that came out recently that we have for the series. There's some like DLC thrown in there too, but it was really cool to see this, and it sounds like they're going to be pushing more towards the horror aspect, the survival horror, at least as what was described in the post-trailer interview there. It's not coming till 2023 though, and again, I think a lot of this has to do with reassuring Alan Wake fans that a sequel is coming, because it has been rumored. There have been some inclusions, we'll say, of Alan Wake in Control, and it seems like they're going to try to tie this big universe almost together with all these different games. But again, looking forward to next year, 2022, when we find out more about this. Hopefully at that time, some gameplay. Next, we had Star Wars Eclipse. This is once again a game that was rumored to be in production or development and basically started up pretty recently, months ago, actually. This being with Quantic Dream. And I had heard this and I said, you know what, Quantic Dream and Star Wars. And I mean, at that point, I'm imagining something similar to Detroit Become Human, right? That's the last big game they did. So, of course, we start to draw conclusions from that. But this one is going to be a little bit different. Sounds like it's going to be more action-oriented as opposed to what we have with things like Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls. In fact, they have it themselves described as an intricately branching action-adventure game with multiple playable characters taking place in the High Republic era. So they're going to be able to take, I'm sure, some liberties overall with the story, but because it's Star Wars, it's still going to go back to what Disney wants to do with the series. But, I like the idea of having something that's going to be more narrative driven overall, but also have some action oriented segments in there. It's going to be interesting because it's Quantic Dream, and I'm curious how they're going to tackle this entire thing, but certainly a big announcement there for Star Wars fans. We also had another announcement that gave us some insight into what exactly Bokeh Studios is working on. Now, this is a studio that was formed by several developers and creators, specifically one who is the Silent Hill creator, Kiichiro Toyama. And I'm looking at this trailer, and yes, it has that psychological horror element to it that Silent Hill does, and it's hard to describe what's exactly is happening here other than people transforming into these massive monsters and then I guess transforming back and just ripping people to shreds. It looks off the wall, it looks creepy, it looks scary, it looks like what I'd expect from that studio being led by the Silent Hill creator. This one's called Slitterhead. It's an interesting title. I don't know if it's one that really rolls off the tongue for a lot of people, but the one thing they want is this to stand out completely. So, we'll find out more about this, I assume, as we head through next year. There was also this odd tease from Guillermo del Toro about Silent Hill. Wouldn't it be great if he says something like, wouldn't it be great if someone would make another Silent Hill movie or game? And that was after, I think he showed off his new movie, and then Hideo Kojima was on screen, and it's like, hold on. Are they laying the groundwork here? Are they teasing that Silent Hill is actually in development right now with Hideo Kojima figuring out how to work with Konami, maybe through Sony? Okay, now let's talk about Sonic Frontiers. We, of course, had the trailer for the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie that I think looked pretty good for the most part with, the Sonic movie in general is just supposed to be a fun movie. And now we have Knuckles coming in and Tails. Knuckles looked awesome, by the way. So sure, that'll be a lot of fun. But Sonic Frontiers, we had heard that it was going to be there in some capacity. And they showed it, kind of, I guess. They showed some in-game visuals, or it's a cinematic. I feel like they were trying to show us a part of the game that looks like they're doing the sweeping shots similar to Breath of the Wild. This is something I've noticed, by the way, is we're seeing more and more games come out that realized what Zelda was able to do moving to Breath of the Wild, and they're trying to showcase this change up for the series by doing that, showing this big open world. Legends Arceus did the same thing, where everyone was like, that's their Breath of the Wild moment for Pokemon. Kind of looks like that's similar to what they're trying to do here with Sonic. Now, when they're showing the visuals off, I was looking at it, and I said, they showed Sonic, I said, this kind of reminds me of some of those fan tech demos that'll pop up online where it's like they're showing an Unreal Engine. This is what Sonic could look like. Almost like Sega said, you know what, maybe we should try to make it look like that. So they didn't really show any actual gameplay necessarily of like, okay, here's Sonic running around. This is like what the HUD looks like. Here's Sonic in action doing all of this stuff. But it looks really ambitious from what they've shown so far, and they had it put as a 2022 release. I gotta say, I'm thinking it's going to be a 2023 title. This just, to me, is shaping up to be something that's going to take maybe even a little longer than Sega was expecting, if it really is trying to be that Breath of the Wild moment for the Sonic series. 3D Sonic has had a lot of issues in the past. They've had some good stuff with things like Sonic Colors, and then some bad stuff like Sonic Forces. So here's hoping this is on the side of like Sonic Colors, but I like the idea of them trying something new, at least with the Sonic franchise. And then the last big announcement I wanted to go over here is The Matrix Awakens. This is essentially an Unreal Engine 5 tech demo that you can just download now. It was like 30 gigabytes or something on the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. And yeah, the biggest thing is they want to show what exactly Unreal Engine 5 can provide going into this generation. We've seen some tech demos. Remember with the PS5, we had That one tech demo where they sat people down in a cave and they played around with the lighting and they showed off all the geometry and everything they could do there. Then they jumped off the cliff and flew around some landscape to show off the SSD, and sure. But this is our first real look at it natively on our own systems. Like, we can just download it on the shop. And I checked it out. It is incredible. Like, this is, we've talked about, okay, where's that next gen moment where we go, whoa, that's, okay, I see a difference here. This is it. I implore everyone to download this tech demo. I mean, it's kind of a game. You can, basically, it starts you off in what looks like a rail shooter, sort of, but then it lets you just kind of move around in the city. You can run around, you can drive a car, and it lets you sort of change around different effects and sliders to basically do what they were doing in the tech demo prior, where they were moving lighting around. The problem is, I can show you parts of it here, right, with recorded footage, or even some of the gameplay stuff they posted up on YouTube, but you really want to experience this for yourself on your own Xbox or your PlayStation, because viewing it through a stream just does not do this justice at all. It's incredible stuff, and I'm really excited to see what we get out of Unreal Engine 5 going into this generation. Like, the Coalition apparently worked alongside of the developers at Epic Games to help move this thing to the Xbox Series, and that makes me think, okay, Coalition's going to do something, we assume, Gears of War related, right? At least that's what we expect. Gears of War moving into Unreal Engine 5. I mean, that could look incredible. It could also play incredible as well. So make sure you download this and check it out. It's free, and it kind of gives you a glimpse into maybe what we can expect from developers who start using Unreal Engine 5 this generation. But let me know what your favorite announcement was from the Game Awards. I know there's a lot of arguing back and forth on if the show was actually any good, but I mean, there were some pretty cool announcements to look through here, and just wanted to see what people thought of some of these big announcements. And of course, let me know about some that maybe I didn't talk about here that I will talk about on Monday, like Hellblade 2. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.